Good morning. I wanted to talk today about anticipation. You know, we're emotional beings. Our behavior is governed by our emotional state. So, if that's the case, then becoming good at managing or doing the internal work to manage your emotional state is as important as the external work we have to move into every day. And let's be frank that for most of us, we're really good at the external work. We're really good at problem solving. That's mostly what we have to do in our workplace. Some people are paid enormous amounts of money to problem solve. In fact, most of us go to work to problem solve. Now, we can become really good at that, but if you start to realize you sort of hit your middle years and you're looking to another 20 years of work, problem solving every day can start to really work on your emotional state because what you're anticipating is more of the same. And that's a very real problem if you want to learn how to lead yourself. So, leadership, self leadership is learned. We can learn to be really good at it. And um, if you're in a slump or if you've hit a crisis in your life, then achieving an emotion, learning to manage your emotional state effectively, I found requires mentorship, and this is the reason why. If I'm going to share my screen so that you can understand what I'm saying here. So So let's say that um, this is you today. Let's say that this is your head, and we're just going to say, for the sake of this discussion, that that is your mind. It's not your mind, but for this purpose, and that this is your body. And let's say that your mind uh, has a conscious mind and a subconscious mind, and your conscious mind is your intellectual mind. That's where your intellectual factors are. You have six of them: imagination, intuition, your perception, your memory, your reasoning factor, and the will. And then, so we have this ability to originate thought. We also have this ability to remember things and then bring ideas together and form a concept in our imagination. It's a wonderful thing. But at the same time, and this is where a lot of people spend a lot of their time, is we've got this information that's flowing in through our senses. And we're actually conditioned from a young age to live in our external world. We're conditioned to look at the budget, look at the bank account, look at the amount of money we're earning, look at the sales, keep looking outside of you. Now, we need to do both. We need to balance our internal work and our external work. So um, let's just say that when it comes to the whole emotional state that we're in, think about this. Our politicians will move their message depending on the sentiment of their constituents. And that's a really powerful idea. So, how people feel is what politicians will beat the drum about. And as individuals, we will continue to spend enormous amounts of money to buy branded goods so we can feel in a certain way. So if that's the case, then really our our emotional state, our emotions actually govern a lot of what we think about, how we feel, obviously, and the action we take on a daily basis, and even the decision making that we make. It's based on our emotions. So when we understand that, and we clearly understand that, then we can go into understanding how to better govern our emotional state. So it all starts with the conscious mind, the thoughts that we think. Because if we hold a thought for long enough in our conscious mind and we accept that thought, that we allow to get emotionally involved with it in our subconscious mind. Our subconscious mind, so this is the conscious mind is our rational mind, and our subconscious mind is our emotional mind. So when we get emotionally involved with an idea, what it does, it gives it vibrancy. And and this is where it's important to understand what we anticipate actually um, it directs where we move in life. So our anticipation actually starts with the quality of the assumptions that we make in our conscious mind. So in our conscious mind, we can assume something. And the quality of that assumption, if we think about that assumption and we try and detach it from an outcome, from an emotional feeling, we try and be as objective as possible, then that assumption will eventually flow into our subconscious because we'll get emotionally involved with that assumption, and now it'll become an expectation, and that expectation will cause us to act in a certain way. It'll move the molecules of our brain, form new neural pathways, and cause me to pick up this pen and start writing this information to you. And so then our actions give us our behavior, and our behavior gives us our results over and over. And some of those results are negative and some are positive. Okay. We've got a mixture. So let's just look at this quadrant on the outside. All right. Firstly, I just want to go back to the subconscious. This is our emotional mind where we have fixed ideas set in there. So those will be your habits, your routines, what you believe, your belief system, and other things like how you see yourself, your self-image, how you see yourself in the world, how you see yourself as a world citizen. Okay, so the limits of what you believe. Let's say that this bevel on the outside, this is a diver's watch. You can turn the bevel to, because you can only think one thought at a time. So wherever you place your attention, so if your attention is in quadrant one, and this will be the past, and this is all the good stuff in the past, okay? And so if I write your past, everything here is in the past. And so if your conscious attention is on there, then it's not on the future. All right. I'm going to change color here so you can, righto. So then you've got quadrant 2, which is the past bad, past failures, trauma that you've experienced, and so on. So if your conscious attention is here, and if you're emotionally involved here, then you're not thinking about the future. Okay. Then we've got quadrant 3 here, Q3, which is where most of us spend most of our time. And this is in the problem solving of what is. This is our world that we live in, and we go into every day, and we've got to deal with, and most of us react to what's happening to us every day. So that stimulant, the problem arrived, we react. Stimulant, react, stimulant, react, and it carries on and on and on. And this is where, if you spend far too much time down here, at some point you can get to a point and say, what's the point? There's no benefit staying down. There's no joy. It lacks joy. It's dull. It's called the drama of life. Okay. We have to do this. We have to live in that, but it's about balancing. Now we've got this quadrant up at the top here, which is a little more exciting. This is quadrant 4. This is where you think about and you imagine this is where your superpower, your imagination, kicks in, and actually you can use it to benefit you. You can use your imagination down here and anticipate bad outcomes. You can get into a kind of a rut where you're thinking that. Equally, if you do the internal work and you learn to lead yourself, then you can start to look for what's possible. And when you start to lift your mind, because it's actually lifting your mind and how you feel, your heart. So let's say that your bank account's not so good. Let's say that your sales are shocking. Let's say that your business is not moving forward as you want it to move forward. Let's say that you're not um, your career is not progressing like you wanted it to progress. Those are real things. And when I say that, just write that idea down. How do you feel? And it's hard to move from feeling awful and down here, okay, and reminding yourself of the the irritating bollocks that's continuing on in your life. It's hard to move from there to thinking about what's possible. Let's say that you've got an ideal, uh, I'm going to call it an impossible goal that you would like to achieve, but you don't even know where to start. In fact, you don't ignore it. You suppress it because your rational mind is down here in the drama saying, no, you've got to fix these problems. You've got rent to pay, you've got a mortgage to pay, and your business is, the cash flow in your business is shocking. Now, yes, take action. We've got to take action all the time there. But if you're not managing your internal, doing the internal work and managing yourself and starting to look for ways to learn how to live more in here. I'm not saying that every second of the day. We've got to live in the world. So we've got to actually deal with the drama. But if you go there first thing in the morning up in the top here and you start to build, I'll change the color again, you start to build an image of the ideal life that you want to live. Let's say that this is this impossible goal here. You don't know how to get there. Your rational mind says you don't know how to get there. We've never done it before. So this is the limits of what you can do right now, which is ridiculous if you think about it, because when you were born, what you can do now, you couldn't do when you were born. So you learned that. So everything that's up here that you want to achieve is actually possible. So when you start to build a vision of what it is that you want, what happens now is this is where you start to get these beautiful ideas, these inspiration. That's where it comes. What is inspiration? Well, it's in spirit. This is the unseen thought world. I mean, there are religious people or there's scientific people. It doesn't matter. It's energy that's positive up here, and inspiration, inspired thought, or inspired ideas happen. They are a fact. There was a time when there was no iPhone. Now there's an iPhone. Where did that come from? Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. We can say, yes, it was logic and reason that trudged through the drama of life, and incrementally 10% growth a year, we got to an iPhone. And some of that is true, but there are businesses that are, and there are individuals that are experiencing step changes, not incremental changes. And the step change comes from an inspired idea. But if you an inspired idea only comes if you spend time up in this area imagining what's possible. That's really important to grasp, because if you continue down here, what is the chance of getting more of the same? Well, it's probably likely. What's the chance of getting an inspired idea down here. It is possible, but you're actually increasing your possibility if you're starting to open your mind and saying, what is possible? You're not spending time saying, I can't, I won't, I don't deserve, I've got to solve this problem. I'm focused on the problem. I'm not focused on solution. I'm not looking for inspired ideas. I'm looking at fixing this problem. Then the next one comes, and the next one comes, and the next one comes, and so on. And so this is where people start to lose power. So this is why it's important to understand there's a balance of internal work that needs to be done and obviously the external work. And so just to give you an idea, I lost a business in Sydney in 2005, and I had to start doing a lot more internal work because I realized that even though I'd been involved in a listed company, listing, I'd had multiple businesses before that and one listed on a stock exchange, and then I lost everything in 2005, brand new back in Australia. I recognized I actually knew nothing. And I had to get rid of all the bollocks that was in my head that had caused the failure in a business, a couple of retail stores in Sydney. And I had to start again. And so now, fortunately, I remained open to new ideas and new concepts. And so I learned a new system because and as a result, now living in Australia in paradise, I live in the hinterland of Noosa. It, my wife and I are financially independent. Now, people work their whole life in Australia to retire, and we did it in a short period of time, zero. And I've got no qualifications, so I never went to uni or anything like that. And it's not. I'm not saying this to impress you. I want to impress upon you that literally changing the way that you think and the concepts of what you believe is possible is really the only thing that has to change. The paradigm which is set here in our subconscious mind, which is the fixed ideas that we consent to on a daily basis that actually govern most of our decision making, govern the way that we feel, govern the thoughts that we think. And because even these words that I'm saying, your rational mind might be saying rubbish, and that's fine. You disagree with that. That's if you can just accept the idea that your reaction is a conditioned reaction. You've 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 accepted, consented to certain ideas, and so when you hear me talk about these ideas, you will find any reason to reject it. I had one guy say the quality of my shirt and the crooked teeth and my accent and so on. And so that wasn't the real reason. The real reason is that that person's conditioning couldn't accept what I was saying. Well, what I'm saying is that I'm not the only person that understands these concepts. That um, the we don't have to do anything. And what I mean by that is if you feel that you have to live the life that you're living right now, and it may be a life that you're not enjoying, that's not true. Because when in 2005, I promise you, I was in pain. My wife was particularly upset with me, and we're still married, 29 years, but it took a lot of effort to fix that because I'd actually been negligent in the way that we had opened up these businesses. I had a business partner, but we'd been negligent. And I recognize what we did wrong now, but at the time, I just was doing the best that I could at the time. Then I was in a bad state, but I'm not in a bad state now. And what we did in Sydney, I don't do that anymore. In fact, I owned another business in between, sold that for a lot of money. And now I'm doing what I'm doing right now, which is what I want to do. So you can change. And all it is deciding what it is that you genuinely want. This is the only thing that's really important. This star up at the top here is the fuel that enables you to anticipate something better in the future. If you are down here, then you may get into the mindset that you're anticipating just more of these problems. And at some stage, that's going to wear you out because this is this is hard work, okay? And whoever came up with the concept that we should revere hard work, it, it it's it's a funny thing. Why not be inspired by what you do? Why not love what you do? Why not create? Draw another color here. Why not create a love story for your future? Why not build that vision for what it is that you genuinely want, not what you feel obligated to do right now? As a result of building that love story, which I actually wrote out in 2005 in a story, my ideal day of how I'd like to live, from the minute I woke up to what I did and so on. I pretty much live it now. And it wasn't that I read that all the time. I just wrote it. And I'm living pretty much that whole story. It's like 4 pages long. And I wrote it in a seminar in Tamworth, New South Wales. And I actually did that process twice over 2 years, and I've got them here, and I'm living that now. And now, so how does that work? Well, it's how we're designed. We're goal-seeking organisms. So when we uncover what it is that we really want for our life, then we move in that direction. We start making decisions. Once it becomes part of our emotional state down here, our paradigm, once we internalize that concept, then our whole life starts to move in that direction. We start making decisions in that direction. And before you know it, over time, if you allow yourself to keep visiting this area, so I write that out on a daily basis on a card, what it is that I want. And so I keep this in my pocket. This is my pocket billboard. And just, you know, during the day, I'll just remind myself where I'm going. Pocket billboard. And I suggest you do that. It's a really powerful idea. My mentor, Bob Proctor, he taught me to do that right from day one. And as a result, it's just a habit now. That's habitually how I focus my day. And so what it does is it keeps bringing me back to this love story. What it is that you genuinely want. We're on this planet for a very short period of time. Why go into the day thinking that we have to work hard at solving problems every day? No, we don't have to. We need to balance that. We need to balance anticipating what's possible for the future with having to deal with what it is right now. I mean, I've got to go now after this. I've got to go. I had a wattle fall over in our yard, so I've got to cut that off. It's not that bad actually, but it is quite a warm day. Um, and so that's the drama I have to deal with today. And you know, when you redirect and you shift and you start to balance your focus with what's possible, then the inspired ideas start to come. Then you start to open up to new concept that you might say, well, actually, I don't like what I'm doing. I didn't, the business that we had, I didn't love it. That is for sure. I didn't love it. The one that we've just sold. I am very grateful for that business because it sent our kids to school, bought an investment property, and has given us, a stack of cash and so on. But I didn't love it, so I couldn't see myself doing it. I mean, it made a lot of money, but I couldn't see myself doing it. So I let it go because I'm in the afternoon of my life. I'm not 30 anymore, and so now my consideration is what is the love story I want to live into? And what I'm suggesting to you is that that is an important part of your internal work, the balance between what you have to do every day to pay the mortgage and send your kids to school and anticipating what going to get you enthusiastic for the future. Anyway, I hope that helps. I'll be back next week when I can turn this off.